Ben Felixstove, and here is another set of clips of my favourite ever TV show, Good Afternoon Adelaide. I have very fond memories of the show. I used to always race home from school and watch the hosts together, Norman and Jeremy. Jeremy was such a class act. I really respect that man. He taught me a lot. Made me the man I am today.
Dinner's ready!
Shut up, Mom!
What are you doing there?
Yeah, coming.
And as always, thank you for joining us. We very much appreciate your company here on Good Afternoon Adelaide. We've got a lovely segment with our good friend Karen Spatchcock. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
It's good to see you again. You're looking lovely.
It's lovely to be back.
Norman, I know you're Karen's a favourite of yours.
Oh, yes. Can't get enough of your good home cooking. I mean, I'm not cooking it myself, but, you know, my people are.
You're always a breath of fresh air around the studio. And I wanted to get your opinion on a very interesting piece I saw in the newspaper.
Oh, yes.
Now, let me just... It was... yes, there was a story, Norman, of a young man found trapped in the Bilo at Ferryden Park. Now, this man was trapped inside the supermarket for nearly 2 whole years and subsisted on probably the pre-packaged items in the supermarket, stayed alive, and it's a miracle, I suppose, that he lived.
It's quite extraordinary. And just putting to one side how this oversight could have happened, and the people at Bilo could have locked this man inside this building. Putting that to one side, it is a miracle.
Questions have to be asked of the people at Bilo, but you're absolutely right. It's a miracle of ingenuity, human ingenuity, of surviving on only what was available in the supermarket. And Karen, this is where you come in, because Norman and I would like to know, now how would you survive? Because you get sick of eating the same things again and again. There would be no fresh fruits or vegetables. They would expire.
And also, how long could you survive if he wasn't rescued? Or say, let's go get him, put him back in there. How long would he be able to live before starving to death?
Canned goods I would leave to the end.
Okay.
Some of the boxed material, boxed foods.
What about the fish? Leave that to the end as well, or get on top of that pretty quickly?
I would probably eat fish early on.
I think there's no electricity. I mean,
no electricity.
In the case of this man, there was no electricity. The store was abandoned.
I think you would have to be quite strategic. You would want to go for the boxed materials first, then some of the fridge items as the fridges started to fail, then to the freezer items as they started to they would have lasted a bit longer, you see. So I would think, 5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years?
With the human consumables in the supermarket.
The human consumables?
Well, yes, there's...
Are you saying we could eat the toothpaste, or...?
Toothpaste, ill-advisable.
Toothpicks?
No, Norman.
Some cleaning products, maybe? With a lemony hint. You could, flavour some of that fish you cooked with the beautiful lemon dishwashing liquids, perhaps?
Well,
I don't see any reason why that would not be a good idea.
Bit of a citrus burst.
Since you say the term human, I'm thinking maybe there's another source of food in the supermarket which you could cook with, and I'm speaking, of course, of the pet items. Pet food, the cat food, the dog food.
Yes.
Dog leashes. Some of them are leather.
Is leather edible?
Didn't you ever read about Scott's Antarctic voyage. Back at the turn of the 20th century.
No, it's all
They had to.
a bit too dry for me.
They ate their dogs, they ate their sleigh dogs, and then they ate the leashes, cooked them up.
I thought that was Shackleton.
Might have been Shackleton, could have been Mawson.
That's fascinating.
They're all basically the same story.
Not by Munson.
That is fascinating. So how would you cook up a nice leather leash or a belt or...
Oh, I don't know about leather leashes, but
Big fan of leather.
there's the fish food could be used as a garnish,
Ah, yes.
sprinkled on top, and the dog and cat food. You could make some sort of beef casserole, if you will, or a chicken doganoff. You could just mix it in.
Terrible. Here's a question. So, you could live about, what would you say, 8 years? 6 years?
Well, yes, about 6 years.
6 years just eating the people food. If you were willing to eat the dog food, a little bit longer. Now, here's the story. If you were willing to eat the dog food, would you want to save all of that till the end? Or would you want to spread it out throughout the decade? Because if you didn't spread it out and you were willing to eat it, those last 2 years of your life are going to be pretty awful.
I think I might be tempted every 3 years of consuming some pet food. Then that's enough time. Enough time would have passed. 3 years. If you're stuck in there, say, for 9 years, you've only had to do it in small chunks, pun intended.
A small yearly chunk of pet food. So 3 years of human food, 1 year of pet food, but you can get through it because you've got 3 years of human food.
That's
to
right.
look forward to.
That's right. Not so chunky that you can carve it.
See, if it was me, I'd feel pretty foolish if I was eating all of the dog food and then I was rescued after, say, 5 years. I don't think I could live with myself.
I don't think you could live with yourself in those kinds of conditions anyway, Norman. You're too used to the silver service.
Well, one time I did get locked in my own pantry and I was in there for quite some time. It's almost as big as that Bilo.
Well, Karen, thank you very much. This has been a very interesting chat, but stick around because we haven't yet got your recipes, which I believe you've got some very interesting Eastern tastes to show us. So,
Yes, a taste of the Far East.
So if you stick around, we'll have Karen with some Eastern cooking. Delicious. I like the Royal Show. I like riding the Ferris wheel, riding the ponies. Sometimes they let me in there, out onto the oval, and I ride all the animals. It's quite fun. My ideal evening is when I get home from the show and I tape the show, I rewatch it, I analyze my performance, I take note of everything that Norman said that was insulting, I put it in a diary, and then I probably just have a cup of tea and go to bed. I like to head down to the pub on Saturday afternoon and play the keynote. Watch all those little numbers popping up on the television screen. And I haven't won yet, but fingers crossed. And then I go home and watch all the week's shows and rewatch. Oh, welcome everyone to another episode of Good Afternoon Adelaide. It's a beautiful first day of March. I couldn't be happier because, well, you might have noticed that not here in the studio in the co-host chair is Norman Vine. I'm here with Dr. Kevin, who's doing an admirable job of filling in for Norman.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Jeremy, and I must say it's deeply gratifying on a personal level and not a little unpleasurable to finally take what I feel to be my rightful place in the big chair, as it were, of this little program.
Yes, it is a rather large chair, and of course, we all know Norman used to be a rather large man before the surgery, but you were telling me there were some things that you wanted to bring up.
Yes, well, now that old fossil isn't with us, dictating what we can and cannot talk about on the air, I hope that we can finally serve some of the viewers' requests and talk about what's really important to South Australia and Adelaide in particular. So I hope this afternoon we can talk about early convict songs of New South Wales, perhaps uranium mining in the Northern Territory, and the big one, the preservation of heritage architecture in our parklands.
Oh, Norman would be absolutely filthy if he knew that we were going to discuss all of those issues and more. And you know what? I reckon we might be able to check in with Norman right now. Norman?
Who the hell
Norman,
are
are
you?
you there?
Phil.
What happened to Jennifer?
Hello, Norman.
She left, Norman.
Oh, not another one.
Is he there?
Do you hear us, Norman?
Norman, snap to it.
Look all right?
Okay. Oh, well, I don't think we're quite getting
I'm
through
just
to
sick
him,
of the
but,
whole bloody show today.
we will be crossing to him later to see what he has in store for us. On location, a top secret assignment. Okay. Well, why don't we just take a quick break first, and we'll be back to you very shortly. So please stay tuned to Good Afternoon Adelaide.
Hey cameraman and camera women of South Australia, come on down to Art's Tripod Hut, 108 Diagonal Road, Oaklands Park. We've got the whole range covered. Bipods, tripods, quadpods, land surveyors and more. That's Art's Tripod Hut. You can stand by us.
I'm ashamed of
All right, welcome back. Now, Norman has stepped out for a little cigarette break, perhaps a cigar, as he likes to smoke. Unfortunately, he's left me high and dry. So I've brought in a very special guest who was wandering around the studio. His name is Jimmy Biggs, and he is the host of The Joke Bloke, which is on later tonight on this very station. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
Good. Let me just put it right there.
Hey, everyone.
He's a very funny man. I really just love your comedy. It's so... I have related to your comedy because I've been through some dark times, but I just flip on the channel and you just make me laugh.
Oh, thanks.
You're so funny.
Thanks, Jeremy. No, you got a little something there. Whoop. I got you. Hey, do I talk into this? Hey, everyone, how you doing?
Can you see
what's
this?
your name? What's you doing? Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Adelaide, of course. So.
Yeah, me too. Good city.
Oh, so Jimmy, I mean, Norman, I mean, can you believe this? Heading out for a cigar in mid-show. I mean, this is classic Norman, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I know some people smoke, but not me.
No.
You never see me going for a smoker.
Of course not.
But sometimes I just like to go out and get some fresh air, just 5 minutes. But people say, wait, what are you doing? You're doing nothing. I say, no, having a fresho. A fresho.
Oh, very good, very good. What your show's on 9:30, isn't it?
Yep, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time.
And
And this time as well.
Yep. And there's just so many classic jokes. You were telling me one just off air before about how women are different from men.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? Yeah,
Yes, they are.
Yeah, how about men, they always leave the toilet seat up and women can't read maps, You're just driving around. Yeah, but the men don't ask for directions, you see.
And they say we men don't listen either.
Was that?
Oh, Big Jimmy, you are a treasure.
Jimmy Biggs. Big Jimmy, Big Jimmy's somebody else. That's actually another comedian.
Right.
But, I'm Jimmy Biggs.
Jimmy Biggs.
It's very confusing. Sometimes you're on the same bill and
No.
they just put the name once.
Yeah, you are not Big Jimmy.
No, I should be Big Jimmy
Yeah,
because my name is Jimmy. His name is not even Jim. It's Dave. I don't know where he gets that, but
tell you,
he's piggybacking off my success. That's what he's doing.
I don't know how you funny men come up with these things. It's incredible. You really are just very, very funny men. And I respect the craft. You know, you've added some much needed levity to this show.
Yeah.
I tell you that Norman, he's a big sourpuss. He's always going on about some crotchety old man thing, and you're just such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, he's over the hill, Norman. He's old.
He's pretty old.
And he's so old.
Well, how old is he?
How old is he? He's you know those pyramids in Egypt?
Yeah.
He used to live in them.
Oh, classic.
They're like thousands of years old.
Well, Norman, if you're out there in the foyer watching this, you're being roasted, and we may just replace Norman with Big Jimmy, Jimmy Biggs.
Hey, just pick up the phone, give me a call, producer man, and I'll come running.
Oh.
Hey, you want a cherry?
Oh, it's not a cherry.
It's fake, everyone. Look at that. TV, huh?
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, almost popped it.
Oh, well, thank you, Jimmy.
Hey, did you know, Jeremy?
Yes.
That I heard this statistic.
Yes.
If your hand is bigger than your face,
Right.
you've got cancer.
What? Where does he get these?
You fall for it every time. Hey,
I
smell the cheese. What an idiot. I love this guy.
Oh.
No, give him a hand. He's all right. Come on, guy in the studio over there. Give him a hand. He's all right. He's great. We love him, don't you? Good Afternoon Adelaide. It's an Adelaide institution.
We gotta get Jimmy Biggs back. All right, stay with us, and hopefully we'll have more with Norman in the studio as well. It puts me in the mood, Norman, for some calls.
Yes, absolutely.
And I believe we have opened up the lines. We've got a number of people waiting, so let's not hesitate, shall we? Let's get our first caller.
Please.
Hello, who do we have?
Oh, g'day, boys. It's Jack.
Jack, how you going?
Going well.
Good.
Now, you boys, you know I'm a Red Leg supporter. I've been Red Leg supporter since I've been around since the beginning.
Sorry.
That Johnny Goodwin on the weekend, he pulled a fast one on us, didn't he?
Yeah, we don't know that you're a Red Leg supporter. Are you sure you have the right program?
Yeah, this is the right one, yeah.
You're speaking to Norman and Jeremy. Good Afternoon Adelaide.
No, this is 5AA radio program, is it? We're talking about the footy.
No, Jack.
No. See, this happens all the time. You know, there are multiple shows you can call into. There are multiple phone numbers you need to call. It's not just the same number for all of them, okay? You stupid people. Carry on.
No, I've had enough. I agree, Norman. Jack, just please, call into the sports program.
Next caller.
Okay.
Go on, you Red Legs, yeah. Oh, hello.
Yes, hello. How are you?
Hello, this is Beryl.
Oh, Beryl, how are you?
Beryl. Oh, that's a lovely name. My auntie's name is Beryl.
Oh, hello, Noel. I know you.
You're not my auntie, are you?
No?
No, Auntie Beryl, I think she died many years ago, didn't she, Normie?
Yes, that's why I was so alarmed.
This isn't our resident spooky program. No, this isn't a seance. Well, why don't you get started? What have you got for us? I see some interesting things down here. Or?
Yes. So this is completely from scratch, this miso.
Yep, okay.
So we just get this
Norman,
out here.
put your feet down. That is incredibly unsanitary.
Sorry, I didn't realise that was in front. Well, you can't go past the Rundle Mall balls. Well, I suppose you can, but you have to deviate around the mall. chauffeured vehicle picks me up from the TV studio after a long day of presenting, and then takes me home via a new restaurant every night. We never seem to run out of restaurants in Adelaide. And then, I suppose we just go home and there's usually someone waiting for me. Take the chopper across to Kangaroo Island, shoot 36 holes of golf, and then we stay the night there. Far too drunk to fly back on the same day, and then just a leisurely flight back on the Sunday. Stop in at Madame Josephine, something like that, and then get a haircut. Off to bed.
He's the comedian you just want to have a beer with. He says what we're all thinking. Jimmy Biggs.
You ever notice how men are different from women? Men, they're like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm not going to ask for directions. And women are like, well, I don't know how to read a map, so we're just going to drive around and around and around. I was flying on an airplane the other day. Boy, are my arms tired. You ever notice how on airplanes, men are different from women?
The Joke Bloke, 9:30.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Biggs. You've been great.
Good afternoon, Adelaide. Come on inside. Don't be shy.
Okay, welcome back everyone. We're here. Good afternoon, Adelaide, as always. And Dr. Kevin, you were in the middle of treating us to the sounds of colonial Australia. I wouldn't have thought that you could sing that well, but it did make this old man's heart sing.
Yes, I've still got it, Jeremy, and I think our studio audience of the crewmen had a very pleasant time listening to those songs. And I must say, for me, it's a very rare performance. That last number I'd not performed since 1973, so you may not be hearing that one ever again.
Tears all throughout the studio, but unfortunately, we must bring this to an end and cross to Norman, the creeping vine. This may be my favourite segment, partially because it means we don't have to have Norman here in the studio. He's out on location. Where are you creeping today, Norman?
Oh, yes, Jeremy. Trust me, the feeling's mutual. I'm coming to you live today from a lovely house in Colonel Light Gardens.
Very, very lovely house.
It's probably been some time since you've seen one of those. Now, I do have some home security tips for the fans at home. So if you have moved house recently, this is relevant to you. Now, if you have moved house, one thing you should always do, for the love of God, get your locks changed. It's a simple call to your local lockman. Most of the time it costs less than $100. It'll be the best money you've ever spent.
Well, it's true. You never know how many former tenants might still have a key.
Absolutely. For example, I moved out of this house in 1978. And here I am 12 years later. My old key still works, and I can just help myself to whatever valuables are lying around. Oh, beauty. Jeremy?
Okay, that's the creeping vine. Dr. Kevin, maybe we should put in a call to Sergeant O'Brien and just check that that's all above board.
Send in the dogs, I say.
Okay, well, stay with us. We'll take a quick break and lighten things up with some more songs from the colonial past.
Well, that was another set of my favourite episodes of my favourite show, Good Afternoon Adelaide. I'm Ben Felixstove. Adios.
Okay, Meredith, you're good to go.
Yes, well, that kind of examination that you mentioned, Bob, would actually be very handy for me right now, because I did take the horse just cheekily around the corner to the service station this morning to get its tyres inflated and also filled up its tank with petrol, and now it's looking very unhealthy, I have to say.
Pork is the smartest animal to eat.
So stupid.